Hello. Today's Valentine's Day, and I have a story for you about what you might want to give your wife for Valentine's or give your husband. You know, men like flowers as well. But this story tells a little bit about my growing up. We never had flowers in our house. I don't ever remember picking even wildflowers to hand to mom or her ever having flowers. And I feel badly about that. Kamari and I had been married for 6 or 7 years, and we were living in Grand Junction, Colorado. And we had some girls living with us at a summer camp that had been, and some had gone home. And Beth Carson, her folks from Gallup, New Mexico, because of some uh, problems on the Indian reservation there, had wanted Beth to stay with us. And so she was in her teenage years and going to school. And there was a young man, well, there were more than one, that were courting her. Well, one night, just a little bit after supper time, the doorbell rang and somebody went to the door, and there was on the porch a single rose in a little vase. And it was for Beth from an unseen admirer. And so took it in, and she and Kamari and the other girls were all oohing and awing over her getting this flower. And Kamari made the statement, kind of wistfully, she said, "I'd like to get a flower, even if it was from an unseen admirer." And me, having enjoyed pranks all my life, I thought, store that one away. And so about 2 weeks went by, and I was off at work one morning, and I thought, I'm going to send Kamari a flower. And so I called or went by the florist and picked out a little inexpensive flower and sent it to her. And I thought, she's going to ask me if I sent this. So I'll take her one. So I bought another flower, and I took home and gave her a flower, and she had a flower there from this unknown admirer. And she asked me, she said, "Lee, did you send this?" And I said, "Sweetheart, would I send you a flower and bring one home too?" She knew that was unlike me because I'd never brought her a flower in the 6 or 7 years were married. I didn't understand what value that was. And she oohed and awed over it. And so everything went along fine. And about when those flowers started to wilt and needed to be thrown out, I sent her another flower from an unseen admirer or an unknown admirer and secret admirer. And when I came home that day, I looked around for it and didn't see it, and finally found it in the refrigerator. And she was a little bit taken aback. She was afraid that I'd be mad because she was getting a flower from an unknown admirer. And this just added to the fun of the practical joke. So in about a week or so, when that flower began to fade and she had thrown it out, there was another one arrived from a secret admirer. Well, this time when I came home, I didn't find it. I looked and, walking around the house, I wasn't asking about it. Finally, she told me that she had gotten another flower, and she was really upset. So now I'm concerned because if I tell her I sent it, she's going to be mad. And and she speculated, with me, who might it be, Lee? Who's doing this to us? And so when it faded, I sent her another one, a third one. And that time when I got home, it was sitting out in the open, and she was really upset. And I finally admitted to her that I had sent it, and she was mad for a few seconds, but she got over it quickly and gave me a hug and a kiss. The important thing to know is what those kind of little gifts can do. Now, wives, if your husbands haven't sent you flowers, take the opportunity to go buy a flower for them. And maybe they'll get the hint. But since that time, for the next 50 plus years, I tried to give Kamari flowers on a pretty regular basis, and they always paid great dividends. She enjoyed them immensely, and I did too, even to the point that has become a tradition. And I try to give somebody a flower or two a year. I send some of my family flowers occasionally. And the ladies really do appreciate it. So just for a word from an old cowboy, you can learn new tricks as you get old. One of them might be that you want to give your sweetheart, whether it be your wife or whether it be your husband, a flower. You don't have to spend a lot of money on them, and they have gotten more expensive, but find an inexpensive flower. Carnations last the longest. They'll last 2 or 3 weeks if you get them when they're fresh. Anyway, have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you later.